Brady Corbet and his wife Mona Fastvold, they wrote the script together.
Dancing to their own
Exactly,
beats,
and it felt very idiosyncratic.
Yeah.
And felt like it was going to be, whatever it was, whether people liked it or they didn't like it, it was going to be a vision and it was going to be ambitious.
It's clearly going so well. You are known for a standing body of work, The Theory of Everything, Inferno, etc., etc. But now we're here to talk about The Brutalist, which I went to see just before Christmas. Still thinking about it, still, mesmerised.
Processing.
Yeah. Before we do that, how was your sleep last night?
Well, I was just saying, it was terrible.
Right.
My 2-year-old was up at about, actually, I think it was about 4 a.m.
Yes.
So I had a little bit of a disturbed night, but I'm getting through it.
Well, you look $1 million.
I'm about to have my second coffee, so
Yeah.
not doing too badly.
Hook me up, as you say.
Yeah, exactly.
To the
It's the only way through.
Isn't it funny when they're between 2 and 6, they're like sharks with blood, children?
They don't stay in their own beds.
And they smell your pain.
And and they don't give you rest.
No. Don't worry, you're in a safe space.
I know.
So welcome.
It'll come eventually.
It will come eventually. Let's talk about The Brutalist because it's just epic. An epic story. Do you want to give us? Are you up to giving us a little pitch for people who haven't seen it? Or
yeah. It's I mean, as you said, it's an epic story. It's centered around a brutalist architect who is fleeing the Second World War after. Post-Second World War, and he emigrates to America.
Yes.
And it is about him, and I play his wife, Erzsébet, who is a formidable woman who is actually a journalist, and it is about them trying to struggle and figure out life in another country and how that impacts them.
Yeah, and the coffee's landed.
It's okay now. I'll actually make sense. Just ignore what was happened before. Okay.
Everything she said. What's your film about? I don't know. I haven't had
exactly.
coffee.
Yeah, don't ask me that kind of question.
Didn't I just tell you about my child?
Yeah, go on.
What do you want to hear about The Brutalist now? I'm exhausted.
I've got to have a slurp of coffee.
With a shot of... Anyway, we'll keep going because... It's interesting, as I said to you, the film is 3 hours and 35 minutes long, which is as long as my question is going to be to let you regroup.
Yeah.
and everyone's talking about this, and I was quiet because I hadn't seen an intermission since a film called JFK made by Oliver Stone 100 years ago.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So it's been so long. So up comes Intermission. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's quite interesting because some people are sort of terrified by it.
Why?
You start saying 3 hours and 40 minutes and there's a 15-minute break in between. But actually, when people have been to see the film, they love it.
Yes.
This opportunity in the middle to have a drink, have a chat. And I think now cinema, so much of it is about, it's an event. And so you have an incredible experience.
Yes.
And you have something that, as you say, is a throwback in some ways.
That's right.
And this film has this fantastic combination of these nostalgic elements of cinema, but also a great modernity to it. And it has a fantastic soundtrack that is very, very contemporary.
And evocative. And I think that the reason, I would keep saying to people, the reason the world was given cinema was for films like this, where you turn, well, we know now different circumstances, but you turn the phone off, you switch off, it's suspension of disbelief, it's suspension of all your trouble. The light goes down, the popcorn's in your hand, and off you go to La La Land.
Well, you're entertained.
Absolutely.
I know, it's the relief as well of just not having to be distracted by a million things. I think more and more the idea of going to the cinema is so appealing, just to have that time to just focus on something else and be carried away by a story.
That's right. And it's also, I always say to people, films like The Brutalist, do not look at this on a little screen. Do not look at this in your phone.
Do not watch it on your iPhone.
How dare you even
the
think about it.
film police will come and get you.
I think we should set up a police unit for film lovers
I know,
to go
exactly.
down on the trains around the world going, what are you looking at? The Brutalist.
How dare you? You are only allowed to watch it in an IMAX cinema on 70mm.
In glorious Technicolor with an intermission. The other thing that the intermission is quite handy for in some ways is for the mobile phone generation, whereby you go...
You can check in.
Exactly.
It's been an hour and a half. I must see how important I am.
People get sweaty. How important I am.
The withdrawal.
It's too much.
The serotonin withdrawal symptoms.
I love your character. Just started to go back, Felicity, because you come in half post-intermission and we see you. and you light up the story, because suddenly you feel that Adrian Brody's character is starting to lose the spine. And I felt you came in to say, well, hang on a second, this is not good. You're like the sheriff coming into town,
Well,
the relationship sheriff.
In some ways, yeah, it's interesting that she actually, by being in America, she gets much stronger and stronger. You know, when we first meet her, she's suffering from malnutrition, and you see this person getting much healthier. As you say, conversely, her husband is getting more and more troubled, and things are getting much more difficult. And there was an element of Elizabeth that there's a bit of a Jedi in her. You know, she has this force. You feel in some ways she's been through such horrors, being in a concentration camp, that she has such little expectation of people's behaviour.
Yes.
Her expectations are so low that
faith in humanity is so
nothing
reduced.
can hurt her.
Absolutely.
Nothing can hit her.
Yeah.
So she's kind of existing on a slightly different plane than most other people.
It's interesting the week that's in. I won't go political, but just in terms of the borders and refugees and people looking for asylum, whatever. You think post World War II and all these people looking for. We had in Ireland during the famine.
Yeah, massive.
People just look like the huddled
change,
masses. Yes, change,
unrest,
discombobulated, unsure, not even speaking the language, and just facing into this world as a couple that you're part of in this story. And it's just noise. America's loud and sassy and intimidating. But you're there as a former journalist who's got a natural curiosity, and you just seem better built and equipped for it.
Well, she's incredibly pragmatic. You know, she wants to make it work. She's trying to be positive about this experience. And she meets Guy Pearce's character, Van Buren, who is a very complex figure in their lives.
Yeah.
And he is very wealthy, and he believes that through that wealth, he can do whatever he likes. And she is there to stand up to him and say, I'm afraid that is not the case.
Yeah, he's a bad piece of work. Okay, he's a queer hawk, as we say. So what I like about this, Felicity, Guy, Adrian Brody, the reason there's so much fuss is that you're leading this cast with such class and skill and aplomb. I'm not just saying this in front of your face, I said it behind your back. It's just, that's why the fuss is there. You can understand that, all the award nominations and wins and so on.
Oh, well, I think it feels like the film is hitting in some way. I think, as you say, I think actually that cacophony, that feeling of chaos, the feeling of things being out of control, which was, you know, happening post Second World War, is not dissimilar to what a lot of people are experiencing now. And somehow there's great comfort in seeing this film, and it's sort of I don't know, it plugs you into the intricacy of human nature, and somehow seeing that vulnerability in other people, it kind of makes us feel that it's okay to be vulnerable. For
sure. Can you stick around for a minute? We have a little intermission.
No, I've got to go. I'm sorry. I've got a busy day.
The coffee's still hot. If I let you go, you end up going home to a cranky child, so stick around.
I'm going to stay.
We were chatting about what films we've seen, what films we liked and didn't like. And Nora got thumbs up all round.
I thought it was excellent.
Amazing. And we won't get into the negatives, but we will say, I said that James Stewart is my favourite actor because It's a Wonderful Life is my favourite film, and you said
it's my husband's favourite film.
A man of excellent choice. And then
Very
we
good
talked,
taste.
and then you asked me, because we started switching roles then, because you interviewed me and said
I like to do that.
I appreciate that. You caught me on the hop, but you said, who is today's James Stewart, that lovely All-American? And he's an old co-star of yours, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, you said Tom Hanks, and I would agree. He has that feeling that you feel he's a good person.
That's it.
Which I would like to say he is.
That's yeah. Sorry, you're with them.
You feel like they're not going to mess you. That's not a person who's going to mess you around, and that's and James Stewart. That, you know, I think the camera doesn't lie, and somehow it reads like it did with James Stewart and does with Tom Hanks. You feel you feel the essence of that person, and you trust that essence.
Even when it gets dark, when Hitchcock gets his hands on James Stewart in Vertigo or something, it's like.
But the core
is decent.
The core has integrity.
Do you know in Brideshead Revisited, did you film that where they filmed the original one in that castle?
We did, yes.
I went to
And
visit it.
I can't remember.
Highfield? No, what's the castle? It's near York. It's the Yorkshire.
Does anyone know? We're looking.
We're looking up. Google. Call Dr.
Someone's
Google.
going on
Urgent.
Google.
But because I went to visit it, and it's beautiful. I remember the original series.
Yeah,
you were
it's
Cordelia Flight.
Gorgeous building. Yeah, I was. Fantastic book. One of my favourite books, actually, Brideshead Revisited.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and she was a funny little cat, really. She's a funny, strange character.
Yeah.
But
they're all a bit off the beaten track.
I
Aren't
know.
they?
Well, that's why they're brilliant characters, though. They're so you don't want to see people being too ordinary, do you, in film and television? So they're a real eccentric bunch, aren't they?
Where is she? What do you mean, where is she? She's in London dancing.
I know.
What?
The flights.
The flights.
Cordelia Flight. And the what is it? The twitch of the thread.
Oh, I love that. And
such a great line.
The quick one on the Star Wars Rogue One and all that. How does that sit with you? How did you enjoy that whole experience? And
it was. I mean, that was actually not dissimilar to the Brutalist in terms of, navigating what parts you're going to do and how do you make sense of this bizarre profession that I have found myself in.
Yeah.
But actually playing Jyn Erso in Star Wars was a bit of a no-brainer because it was such a great character and it was a very simple story, a singular narrative, and I actually it's been a feature of the way I've chosen parts is I do like to do things on a bigger canvas, on a broader scale, and then that also to a certain extent brings attention to allow you to do smaller films as well.
Yes.
So I'm very happy pivoting between the two and with Star Wars, it's like a religion. It's so much bigger. It is a religion,
and the
than
fans are disciples.
Yeah, so you're just a mere cog in a huge production. And I was I mean it is a bit of a pinch me moment when you go onto set and there's all these creatures and the sets are vast and it's pretty phenomenal what they do.
2 steps backwards, Castle Howard. Thank you.
Castle Howard.
Yeah, that's the Brideshead. Thank you,
it.
lads. Very good.
We got it.
2 steps forward, back to the Brutalist. You were saying in a previous interview that one of the things you liked about the script was that it featured photographs and pictures. That was really interesting. I always thought script was just text, and that's the way it is.
I know. They broke the norm.
I
know.
that.
I saw the pictures and I thought, well, this is going to be good. This is a little bit novel.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
And what effect? Was that to humanize the story or?
Yes, I think it was to build this idea because they're not real people, but it's drawing from lots of real stories.
Yes.
And so the pictures in the script were of real people. So it's in a sense, it's creating a mythology. And so even from reading the script, you felt almost like it was reading a novel. It was the characters were so intricate, so nuanced. There were so many unusual aspects and unusual choices that they'd taken that it didn't feel as though it was conforming to any algorithm or formula. It was very much, it was Brady Corbet and his wife, Mona Fastvold. They wrote the script together.
Dancing to their own beat.
What's that?
Dancing to their own
exactly,
beats,
and it felt very idiosyncratic.
Yeah.
And felt like it was going to be, whatever it was, whether people liked it or they didn't like it, it was going to be a vision and it was going to be ambitious.
That's it. They're 2 great words on which to end our encounter today, Felicity Jones, because that sums up this remarkable film. Congratulations on your role in it. Congratulations for making your way to the end of that coffee, which wasn't getting great ratings now from you on Rotten Tomatoes there, but at least you got through it.
I know.
And it kept you going.
And it's given me vision.
And fuel.
And ambition.
And it was
and impact from this mere cup of cappuccino.
The Brutalist in cinemas this Friday. What a pleasure. Let's do it again sometime.
Lovely.
Thank you,
Thanks
Felicity.
so much.